I was going to title this video Slabbed or Raw or something like that, but I got to thinking about it, and sometimes we want to compare two things, this versus that, but for me, I was thinking really it ain't a either or. I like a both and I just picked up a little bit of raw pre-33, and it got me thinking about it. It's nice. I like the slab stuff. In fact, when I went in, I got this little $5 Indian, say $5. No, it's a $5 Liberty here. Got this $5 Liberty, this $2.50 Indian, and when I was looking at it, I asked him if he had any pre-33, and I was looking at, I think he had a little bit of slab stuff, but I wound up going with this. It's a little cheaper. Of course, you can see a little ding here and there. See a little bit of something on her chin. It ain't pristine, it ain't perfect. In fact, I wonder, I think, y'all look at this and tell me what y'all think. I think maybe this was in a jewelry, might have been in a little bezel or something. Looking at that there, and you can kind of see a little flat spot here. Look like it's in a bezel. I sure ain't an expert, but you flip her over, you also see a little bit of a flat spot all the way around her. Look like maybe that's where the little prong was there. So what y'all think? Is that in the bezel? That's kind of what I'm thinking. And maybe it's been cleaned up too. It ain't really got the luster to it, something about it, but it's a nice one anyhow. I like it. It ain't bad. But so raw or slab. Then we got this little $2.50 Indian. Like I said, I don't know I'm gonna say either or, because I like both. One of the reasons I started with the slab on a lot of it, and you see he looked a little more lustrous. They both look like a fine feller. He got a little scar on his eye, got some character. But one of the reasons I started with slab, and that's a lot of people advise it, and I think it's good advice, is they made a lot of fakes. And I don't know, I couldn't tell you a fake from a real one probably. A lot of people couldn't, but you put it in a slab here. These fellers, the experts, and they graded it, and they said it's a AU 53. So I'm gonna go with that. I reckon most fellers would. They'd say, yep, that's AU 53. They gonna go with PCGS. They know more than me or you probably. Of course, you might be an expert, but I ain't. So the other thing is just to make sure it's real. So that's part of the reason I like a slab. It's graded and it's slabbed up. Of course, it keeps my grubby hands off of it. I said that before. But why do I like a raw one? Well, I like a raw one because I like to put my grubby hands on it. I don't know, something about holding one in your hand. Even a little feller like this, it's a $2.50. When you hold it in your hand, it seems pretty heavy for that little bitty feller. Of course, really, I like this $20 gold piece. I'd like to get me another one. Maybe a slabbed one, maybe a Liberty or something like that. I say the Liberty head, but I like this here. Of course, you see the other problem with the raw one. I don't know when it developed, but it developed little copper spots. I don't know if maybe you probably blame it on my hands. I handle this without any glove. Of course, old Dub C, he said that the PCGS and all them fellers, they don't wear gloves, so, but they hands are probably a lot cleaner than mine. See that? Need to wash them, scrub them up. We got one more here, raw one. This little $2.50, what they said, cornet, Liberty head. She got her hair done up. Now that's a pretty one, really. She looked pretty nice. Still might have been cleaned, I don't know. What y'all think? Something a little bit flat on her, luster wise. I don't know. She looked nice though. This fella here looked nice too. Look at him. Got a lot of feathers and such have you. But back to the point, like I said, to me, I'm not looking at it as a which either or, but I'd kind of like to have a little bit of both. Because one nice thing, like, this is my first pre-33. That's probably always going to be something a little special to me. And I do like that design. And one thing I did with this in here, now I told them, handle it around the rim there, be careful. But I let my nieces and nephews and a few other folk, close family, I let them look at that in there, take it in their hands and just kind of look at it, pass around and tell them, look at that there and feel it, see what you think. That was $20 back in 1927. And you know, just really look at it. You can see the edge there with them stars, and I think this one says a pluribus unum on the side there. You know, see all the detail. And you know, something like this here in the case, she's pretty. She's a MS-63. She's pretty, but you can't even see the side there. And then just ain't the same. Of course, this is a $10. This in here is a $20, but just ain't the same when you hand somebody a chunk of plastic or you hand somebody a chunk of gold. I think most folk prefer the chunk of gold over the chunk of plastic. Even though you can see inside there, there's a chunk of gold inside of it. And I did another little video talking about how I tend to put my gold in plastic and my plastic in some more plastic, and then put all that plastic in another piece of plastic, maybe a tube or something, and then you put that in your safe, a little steel, you know, you got 5 or 10 layers between you and your gold. But sometimes it's just nice to get the layers away and just get your gold right there. Take a good look at her and just feel the weight of her. So, and I think that goes for modern, in fact, modern bullion. I'd prefer it raw, because I don't need all that plastic. I don't need it certified or what have you. You can verify her up good enough that it's really gold. So for the modern stuff, now I got a few little things. If they come in the plastic, I generally leave them in the plastic, but I ain't gonna pay extra for it on modern. But there's cases like this here, $10 Indian. I could have got a raw one for, I don't know, few dollars less, but this in here graded, and I decided to get this in here, so that's what I did. But in the future, I'd like to have me a raw one. And really on my raw one, I wouldn't mind it being a little bit lower grade. Because then again, it's not graded. It's just kind of what whoever's opinion. But I wouldn't mind it a little bit, maybe even circulated. Nice looking, but circulated. That way I don't feel bad doing something like this here. You know, here I got these two coins together. And you said, well, why'd you rub them two coins together? I ain't rubbing them together, but they just kind of like when you had them, whoever had them in their pocket. And I figure this in here might have went in somebody's pocket. You can see it a little bit. Got a little scratch here and there, and I don't know, he looked pretty good. Of course, that they said this here incuse, what you gotta look at's the flat part, not the little design. You gotta look at what they said the field, but I ain't an expert, so I don't know. He looked good to me, even his little feller back here. But you look at it, you see some little scratches on the surface, like maybe it rubbed around in a pocket, or maybe they cleaned her up, and they might have. So I feel a little bit better about something like that versus, you know, if it's too fine. Like this in here, I try to be pretty careful, because I had a few folks say they figure that's a pretty nice one, maybe a 60 something, and I do think she's a pretty one. She ain't really all scratched up, got a lot of detail. I hate that she developed some little copper spots there, but they said don't clean it, and I ain't gonna clean it. If y'all know what I ought to do about them there copper spots, look like old feller's bleeding on it. That eagle done got shot or something. But for now, I'm gonna leave her alone. But I put it in this capsule. I got a capsule for it, and I try to keep it in that. But every now and again, I do like to get it out and take a look, handle her up. So that's my reasoning. Whatever you might say, maybe I just like to have an excuse to get something more. But I kind of like having a little bit of graded and a little bit of raw. What about y'all? Y'all stick with the graded, or maybe you stick with raw? Maybe you stick with circulated, or I know that's if you're more stacking it. Maybe I know. Think Yankee, he pretty much he going for a circulated one, and that's nice. But I do like having one kind of like it's original. Really see the detail. So I don't know, that's a little bit of the. I ain't a collector, but I enjoy it. So I guess I am collecting, even though I ain't good at it. So that's kind of my rambling about raw versus in the slab. Even something like this, it wasn't. I know a lot of people. Upside down. A lot of people, they don't want one that's not PCGS or NGC. And this here, the AU55. What's that? I don't know how you say it. ANACS. But I got this in kind of a little package deal with that other little one of these other ones. This in here. And my $1. So I kind of did a little package deal with the feller, and so I wasn't really particular. If I just buying one, then again, this is probably the best buy on it. He's offering this and good deal on it. Paid a little bit extra for that $1 one, and that $2.50. That $5 was pretty close to what you'd buy. Pretty close to spot on her, like 800 or something, 800 and something. anyway, so it's kind of different strokes for different folks. Well, I'm a different folks, and I like a couple different strokes. Looky there, we got us a little ant getting in there. It's after my honey. I like a honey bear. That's beside the point. But anyway, well, that's the little video. Y'all leave in the comments what y'all like. Raw, you like slab, you like both. Alright then, bye-bye.